Weigh-ins are done. Weigh-ins are behind us, okay? I was surprised there was no backup fighter. Just in some regard, I thought there would have been a backup fighter. Massive fight, world championship, Madison Square Garden pay-per-view, right? I'm stating the obvious for you, but generally in these situations, we would have a backup fighter. And we saw as recently as a month ago how valuable that can be. Right, we saw Volkanovski. He's out there. He's prepared. He's not going to do it, but he's in position. He's in the front row. Next thing you know, he gets called out. Next thing you know, he's in the octagon. He's face-to-face with the champ, setting up his next fight. I thought that was a treat. Like, as a viewer, getting a face-off with Volkanovski and Makhachev, which easily could have been Oliveira, right? I mean, you want to talk about organic and unplanned. You don't know who's going to get their hand raised. I thought as a viewer, it was a real treat. One thing we get with Adesanya, before he leaves the ring, he sets up his next fight. We don't go to the press conference wondering. We've never done that. We don't go into Sunday or even Monday morning wondering what's next. Not when it comes to Izzy. It's very unique. We wish everybody would do it. Not everybody does. It's unique to Izzy. Who would you guess? Who would you guess? At 185 pounds, I believe it's hard to say who even the number one contenders match is. Like, off the top of my head, Strickland is coming back. He's going to take on Cannonier. Now, you're going to have to bring a level of interest to that fight to get it to be a number one contenders fight. I think we all want to see that match. I don't think any of us believe that Cannonier is going to pull his weight on getting focused to that match. All right, well, let's take a look at another one. We got Whitaker and Paulo Costa. That's a really hard night. Would you call it a number one contenders match? Now, before you answer that question, I feel as though you would need to know a number one contender for who. I think if I ask you about Paulo Costa and Whitaker, and is that a number one contenders match, you would make your prediction as it pertains to right now, which is Adesanya on top. But imagine it's Pereira on top. And I've been told privately, when I have some conversations with people, that if Adesanya loses, they strongly believe that Adesanya gets a rematch and he goes right back in there. Now, there would be an argument for that, but I don't know that I'm a believer in that. I mean, if Adesanya was to lose, that would make him 0-3 against this opponent. If that's the way the world accepts this and perceives this, we're going to move on. If the world chooses to say, hey, listen, I don't know anything about those other two. I know that Adesanya, man, I know that's a handful, and he's done a great job for a while, and I think he should be given the same opportunity that he just gave somebody else, right? Then you have where that story builds in. But you see where things are very different. The division is very different based on the outcome of this match. This is one of the more compelling stories of why it matters who wins that's been told in a period of time, and I don't know that it has been told. Just me. When I came to you guys on YouTube and I told you that they fought twice before, as a matter of fact, Pereira won, I had some people thinking, Chael, why would you condescend to us? Of course we know that. Everyone knows it. But I had more people saying, Chael, what are you talking about? I didn't know they had fought before. And more people said, well, who won? What was the outcome? How did they do two of them, right? I mean, it was one of these things where at times we take things for granted, and I feel as though this has been taken for granted. But I feel that the fact that they fought twice before is going to be really important when they're done the third time. I mean, if Team Adesanya comes up short and they want to get him a rematch, they're going to have a tremendously powerful argument as to why he should be given a rematch for all the great things that he's done, for all the people he's given opportunities to. But if you're Team Pereira and you win, and so you want to stop the rematch, you have an even stronger argument to say, I've done this 3 times, bring me somebody new. And the division looks very, very different. If Adesanya was to get matched up with Paulo Costa, just say that's the next match after that. Whoever wins, of course, that's between those boys, but I'm very comfortable in telling you that the line at DraftKings is going to have Adesanya the favorite. I think you understand that. Same thing with Whitaker. I think you understand that. But I would be very curious as to what the line is if it was Paulo Costa versus Pereira, or Robert Whitaker versus Pereira. I mean, I think that things really change. I think the parity there is shockingly different. I hear people say at times, I've never been one of them, it'd be best for the division if, It'd be better for business if. It'd be better for the UFC if. And then they act like there's politics involved there and this one guy's more marketable and they want to get him on top. I don't engage in that because I don't find it overly interesting, not because I deny that it's a very real phenomenon. But think of things, how much different they would be if Pereira was champion. And not going back in there with Adesanya. Going in there with the rest of the field. And then think about that about Adesanya, who's already lapped them all and beaten a lot of them second time over, right? I mean, it's a very different outcome. The pressures that would be on Adesanya to have to deal with a guy that is from your past, where that bothered you, that embarrassed you, that invoked an emotion in you, but a guy from your past nonetheless. And then think about it from Pierre. You could see where that'd be motivating. You could see where you'd want to get that one back, right? You could personalize and get that, but try to do that with Pereira. What if you beat a guy? Matter of fact, you beat him a second time over. Where would your motivation be to change sports and to hunt that guy down? Because that's exactly what Pereira is doing, and he's plenty motivated. It appears to come from the standpoint of, I beat you. In fact, I beat you twice, but you're a household name and you got a whole bunch of money and fame, and I don't have any of those things, and I'm better than you, right? It appears to come from a position of envy. But there's a reason that's one of the 7 deadly sins. It's a very powerful driver. And I think that that's a very compelling part of the story that I don't feel has been told. And then I have my own curiosities. Will Adesanya perform from the locker room to the ring? Is he so focused fully on Pereira that he won't do something that he enjoys and the crowd enjoys? Is that going to change him? I know these things might sound simple, but the fight itself, we don't even have people from the kickboxing community that are supposed to understand the strategies of Muay Thai when you then cross it over into the unified rules. Like, we don't even have experts from that community that are willing to come forward, explain what we should expect to see, and moreover, make a prediction of what we're going to see. I don't begrudge them. I'm just sharing with you, this is something new. Very hard to imagine that these guys are going to go and use their skills, their true best skills, tit for tat on each other for a meaningful amount of time. Both of these guys' best skills are designed to put an opponent down right now. So it would seem as though if they both bring their best, one of them is going to go down. We're not going to get to the 18-minute mark, the 20, the 25-minute mark. It would seem. Are we going to see grappling? Are we going to see takedowns? Who's Adesanya going to call out? Who does he think is interesting? There was no backup fighter for this. They had a very high degree of confidence. I'm talking about the UFC, that both of these guys were going to show up, that they were going to go through with it. Both of these guys want this. Both of these guys feel that they need it. For me, that's a very compelling reason, but now we still have a question. They have the same skills. If they come from the same background, which one of them is going to be able to implement that first? And if they do land those attacks that they've planned for, that they prepared for, can the other one still be standing to answer back?